On the evening of February 2, 2008, a 24-year-old real estate agent unlocked the door to a quiet, upscale home in Saanich, British Columbia. She was there for a private showing. The clients had insisted on discretion. They said they were new to Canada, wealthy, ready to buy. She had never met them before. Within minutes of stepping inside, Lindsay Buziak was dead. The couple who arrived to view the property, well-dressed, composed, unremarkable, were seen entering the house with her. They were never seen again. There were no signs of robbery, no clear suspects, no arrests. Nearly 2 decades later, investigators still describe the case as open. Lindsay's father still asks the same questions he asked in 2008, and the identity of the man and woman who walked into that home remains unknown. This was not a crime of opportunity. It was arranged. A carefully scheduled appointment, a specific property, a specific agent.
In a world filled with noise, some stories are lost in silence, forgotten files, unanswered questions, lives that vanished without a trace. From the shadows of the past, these cases still whisper for the truth. Welcome to Cold Case Archives.
Tonight we examine what is known, what has been disputed, and what has never been explained, in a case defined as much by its planning as by its silence. This is the murder of Lindsay Buziak. Part 1. Lindsay Buziak was 24 years old in the winter of 2008. She had recently begun building her career in real estate, a competitive field in the fast-growing communities surrounding Victoria, British Columbia. Friends described her as focused and ambitious. Real estate, particularly in higher price brackets, offered the kind of momentum she wanted. She understood presentation, she understood drive, and she understood that reputation mattered. The housing market at the time was strong. Expensive properties were moving. For a young agent, landing high-value listings could accelerate everything. There was nothing in her history suggesting instability, financial distress, or involvement in criminal activity. By all public accounts, her life was structured, forward-looking, and ordinary, which is why what happened next continues to resist easy explanation. The call in late January 2008, Lindsay received a phone call from a woman who identified herself as Gabriella. The caller said she and her husband had recently arrived in Canada from overseas. They were reportedly from Mexico, though descriptions of the accent have varied in media accounts over the years. Some reports describe it as Mexican. Others suggest it may have sounded European. What remains consistent is that Lindsay noticed it. The couple, the caller explained, had significant money to spend and were interested in purchasing a high-end property quickly. They wanted discretion. They did not want to meet at an office, and they did not want other agents involved. For a newer agent, this was an unusual but potentially valuable opportunity. The property eventually selected for viewing was located in the Gordon Head area of Saanich, an upscale neighborhood. The home was valued at approximately $1 million at the time. It was vacant and available for showing. There were, however, small details that gave Lindsay pause. According to statements later shared publicly by her father, Lindsay felt something about the call was off. She reportedly mentioned discomfort to people close to her. It was not fear exactly, more a sense that the situation lacked clarity. Why insist on her specifically? Why avoid normal real estate procedures? Why communicate so little beyond scheduling? Still, unusual clients are not uncommon in real estate, and large purchases often involve privacy. The showing was scheduled for the evening of February 2, 2008. A precaution. On the day of the appointment, Lindsay made a decision that would later become one of the most discussed aspects of the case. She asked her boyfriend to accompany her, not inside the home, but nearby. He agreed to wait outside in his vehicle during the showing. This was not standard practice, but it was also not unheard of. Agents sometimes take precautions when meeting unknown clients in vacant properties. The showing was set for early evening, after daylight hours in February. The arrangement was simple. He would remain close in case she needed him. There is no indication she believed she was walking into violence. If anything, it suggests measured caution rather than alarm. February the 2nd, 2008. That evening, Lindsay arrived at the property shortly before 5:30 p.m. The neighborhood was quiet, residential, well-kept homes, winter light fading. Her boyfriend positioned himself nearby within sight of the driveway. At approximately 5:30 p.m., a man and a woman approached the property. They matched the general description Lindsay had been given. Witness descriptions later characterized the woman as well-dressed, possibly in her 30s or 40s with dark hair. The man was described as taller, also dark-haired, solid build. Neither stood out as remarkable. Their clothing was described as formal or conservative. They did not appear rushed. They did not appear distressed. They walked up to the home as if they belonged there. Lindsay greeted them. The three entered the house together. The front door closed. From outside, nothing appeared unusual. For several minutes, the house remained still. Inside, according to later police findings, Lindsay was attacked with extreme violence. Details of the injuries have been reported publicly, but are not necessary to recount here. What investigators would later confirm is that the attack was swift and decisive. There were no signs of a struggle spilling outside. No neighbors reported screams. No visible attempt at robbery. Nothing taken from the home. Whoever entered that property had one objective, and it was not to purchase real estate. Outside, time passed. 5 minutes, 10, 15. At some point, accounts vary slightly on the exact minute, Lindsay's boyfriend became concerned. The showing should not have taken long. The house was vacant. There was little to tour. He attempted to contact her. There was no answer. After waiting longer, he approached the house. He knocked. No response. He entered. Inside, he discovered Lindsay unresponsive. Emergency services were called. But the couple who had entered the home minutes earlier were gone. They were not seen leaving. They did not return to any known vehicle. They seemed to vanish into a quiet suburban evening. By nightfall, what had been scheduled as a routine showing became one of the most perplexing unsolved murders in Canadian history. Two individuals had arranged a private meeting. They arrived precisely on time. They entered, and they left without a trace. Part 2, Crime Scene and Early Investigation. Emergency responders arrived quickly. The home on D'Souza Place was secured. The neighborhood, which had been quiet less than an hour earlier, became an active scene. Police vehicles lined the street. Neighbors watched from behind windows. Inside, investigators began the first phase of what would become a years-long inquiry. Lindsay Buziak had suffered multiple stab wounds. Authorities would later confirm that the attack was deliberate and focused. The violence was severe. Yet the scene itself presented unusual characteristics. There were no obvious signs of forced entry. There was no evidence of theft. The house had been vacant. Nothing appeared disturbed beyond the immediate area of the assault. The attackers had not ransacked rooms. They had not searched for valuables. They had not attempted to stage a burglary. It did not resemble a robbery interrupted. It resembled an objective completed. The escape, one of the earliest and most enduring questions, was simple. How did they leave? Lindsay's boyfriend had been positioned nearby. He reported seeing the couple enter the home. He did not report seeing them exit. Investigators canvassed the area for witnesses. Some residents later reported seeing a man and woman walking in the neighborhood around that time. Descriptions varied slightly, but the general outline remained consistent. A well-dressed couple, composed, not hurried. There were no immediate reports of a vehicle speeding away, no tire marks suggesting urgency. If they arrived by car, it was not easily identified. If they left on foot, they blended into an early evening residential setting without attracting attention. The timing was narrow. The showing lasted only minutes before concern arose. Whoever committed the attack understood that window. Forensic findings authorities have never publicly released all forensic details, but several confirmed elements shape the case. The attack was carried out with a knife brought to the scene. The weapon was not recovered. There was no public indication of usable DNA leading to an arrest. Police have stated over the years that forensic analysis was conducted extensively. Yet despite technological advances, no suspect has been formally identified through physical evidence. The absence of clear forensic leads has fueled speculation. But absence alone is not proof of sophistication. It may reflect preparation, it may reflect luck, or it may reflect investigative limits at the time. What is known is this: the perpetrators entered with purpose. They left with the weapon, and they left little behind: the composite sketches. Within days, police released composite sketches based on witness accounts. The woman was described as approximately 5'5", dark hair, possibly worn in a ponytail, well-dressed, conservative appearance between her 30s and 40s. The man was described as taller, approximately 6 feet, dark hair, solid or stocky build, clean-cut, composed demeanor. The sketches circulated widely in Canadian media. Tips came in. None resulted in charges. Over time, questions arose about the reliability of the descriptions. Witness memory is fragile, especially under ordinary circumstances. No one knew they were observing future suspects in a homicide investigation. They saw a couple attending a showing, nothing more. Early direction of the investigation. In the initial stages, investigators examined several possibilities. Was this random? Was it financially motivated? Was Lindsay personally targeted? Was someone else the intended focus? Police have stated publicly that they do not believe this was a random act. The level of coordination, arranging a private showing, selecting a vacant property, ensuring isolation, suggests forethought. But forethought does not automatically identify motive. Investigators also examined Lindsay's personal life. This included her relationships, professional interactions, and recent communications. Such review is standard procedure in homicide cases. No public evidence has established a clear personal dispute escalating to violence. Still, certain details complicated the narrative. The specificity. The property chosen was high value and vacant. The time selected was early evening in winter, dark but not late. The clients insisted on Lindsay specifically. They did not work through traditional agency channels. They did not provide clear, verifiable identities. And yet, they were convincing enough to secure the appointment. This specificity is one of the case's defining characteristics. It does not appear impulsive. It appears arranged. Communication records. The phone number used to contact Lindsay became a critical piece of evidence. Reports indicate the number was traced to a prepaid mobile phone, often referred to as a burner phone, purchased shortly before the murder. After February 2nd, the phone was no longer active. Prepaid phones are not inherently criminal. But in this context, the limited lifespan of the number narrowed investigative options. Who purchased it? Where? Under what identification? Public updates on that aspect have been limited, emerging friction. As weeks passed, tension grew between Lindsay's family and law enforcement. Her father, Jeff Buziak, began speaking publicly about his concerns regarding the investigation. He questioned whether all avenues were being pursued aggressively enough. He raised suspicions about possible connections that he believed warranted deeper scrutiny. Police, for their part, have maintained that the investigation has been thorough and remains active. This tension did not create evidence, but it did shape public perception. By the end of the first year, one fact remained unchanged. 2 individuals had lured a young real estate agent to a vacant home under false pretenses. They executed an attack in a confined time frame. They departed without immediate detection, and despite sketches, forensic testing, phone tracing, and public appeals, no arrests were made. Part 3: Targeting, Motive, and the Expanding Questions. In the months following the murder, investigators faced a fundamental question. Was Lindsay Buziak the intended target, or was she a means to an end? At first glance, the crime appeared personal. The level of violence suggested intensity. Yet intensity does not always equal familiarity. There was no evidence of theft, no attempt to disguise the crime as a burglary, no effort to remove items of value. The objective, whatever it was, began and ended with her. But why? Was it about the house? The property itself has often been examined as a potential clue. It was vacant. It was expensive. It offered privacy. It was located in a neighborhood unlikely to expect criminal activity. But there was nothing inherently unique about it. It was one of many high-value homes in the region. There was no known financial dispute attached to it. No controversial ownership record publicly tied to the case. If the house was chosen, it may have been chosen for isolation, not symbolism. That suggests planning, and planning suggests prior knowledge. Why Lindsay? The callers insisted on her specifically. This detail has shaped much of the case's public discussion. In real estate, clients are often routed through agencies, assistants, or online listings. Yet in this case, the request was direct. The appointment was controlled. Was she selected at random from a listing? Or did someone ensure she would be the agent assigned? Police have not publicly stated that she was selected due to any personal conflict. No documented threat had been made. No restraining orders. No known disputes escalating toward violence. But the absence of documented conflict does not eliminate the possibility of unseen tension. It only limits what can be proven. The speed. Another defining feature is the narrow window of time. The couple entered. Within minutes, the attack occurred. They did not tour the property extensively. They did not engage in prolonged conversation. This suggests the showing itself may have been pretext, not genuine interest. If so, the sole purpose of the appointment was access. Access to a controlled environment. Access without witnesses inside. Access without forced entry. That level of precision raises another question. Did someone know her schedule in advance? The boyfriend's presence. Lindsay's decision to have her boyfriend nearby has drawn significant attention. On one hand, it reflects caution. On the other, it complicates the attacker's risk calculation. If they were aware someone was outside, they accepted additional exposure. If they were unaware, then they acted without knowing a witness was within proximity. Investigators examined his account carefully. Standard procedure in any homicide is to scrutinize those closest to the victim. Police have never charged him with any involvement. Public speculation has circulated over the years, but speculation is not evidence. Still, his proximity to the scene remains one of the case's more unusual elements. He was there, but he did not see them leave. Organized or personal? As investigators expanded their scope, broader possibilities entered the discussion. Some have theorized the crime bore hallmarks of organized execution. Use of a prepaid phone controlled meeting location. Quick exit, no robbery, no immediate suspect. These features suggest preparation, but preparation does not automatically equal organized crime involvement. There has been public speculation about potential drug connections in peripheral circles at the time. Authorities have acknowledged reviewing such angles. However, no public evidence has established a direct link between Lindsay herself and criminal networks. It is important to separate context from conclusion. Associations do not equal participation. Rumors do not equal proof. The father's position over time. Lindsay's father became one of the most vocal figures connected to the case. He has publicly expressed dissatisfaction with aspects of the investigation. He has questioned whether certain individuals were sufficiently examined. He has organized annual walks and maintained pressure for answers. Police have consistently responded that the case remains open and active. This dynamic between grieving family and investigative authority is not uncommon in long-term unsolved cases. But it has kept the case in public view, and it has reinforced one reality. There is no agreed-upon narrative. Theories begin to form. As the years passed, several broad categories of explanation emerged. 1. A targeted personal attack. 2. A contract-style killing. 3. A crime connected indirectly to someone in her circle. 4. A dispute unrelated to her personally but requiring her presence. Each theory attempts to explain the same core facts: the deliberate setup, the speed of the attack, the disappearance of the suspects, the absence of robbery, the lack of arrest. Yet none has been substantiated by charges, and none has been confirmed by authorities as the leading explanation. What remains is structure without resolution, a scheduled appointment, a prepaid phone, a vacant home, 2 unidentified individuals, and a timeline measured in minutes. In Part 4, we will examine each major theory carefully, weighing what supports it, what weakens it, and what remains entirely unproven. Because in the absence of answers, speculation grows. But speculation without evidence cannot close a case. Part 4, Theories Examined. By the second year of the investigation, the case had settled into a difficult space, active but without visible progress. With no arrests and limited public updates, theories began to circulate. Some emerged from media analysis, others from online forums, some from interviews given by family members. A few were shaped by investigative leaks or secondhand accounts. But a theory is not a conclusion, and in this case, every explanation must account for the same constraints. The appointment was deliberately arranged, the property was vacant and isolated, the suspects arrived on time, the attack was swift, nothing was stolen, the perpetrators disappeared without identification. Any viable theory must explain all of it. Theory 1, a personal targeted attack. This is often the simplest explanation. Lindsay herself was the intended victim. The showing was a pretext designed specifically to isolate her. Supporters of this theory point to the insistence on her personally, the lack of robbery, the focused violence, the limited time spent inside. If someone held a grievance, the showing would provide controlled access without forced entry. But this theory raises immediate questions. What documented conflict existed? Publicly available records have not revealed clear evidence of threats or escalating disputes. Police have stated they examined her relationships and background extensively. No charges followed. The absence of visible motive does not eliminate possibility, but it limits certainty. Theory 2, contract-style killing. Some observers have described the crime as resembling a contract killing. The structured setup, the disposable phone, the quick execution, the controlled exit, the suspects presenting themselves as a professional couple. These elements can appear calculated. But this theory depends on identifying who would commission such an act, and why. Authorities have not publicly confirmed evidence of payment, hired intermediaries, or financial trails. The concept of a contract killing can explain precision. It does not automatically explain motive. Theory 3, indirect target. Another possibility suggests Lindsay may not have been the ultimate focus, but rather connected to someone who was. Under this view, the crime may have been designed to send a message, settle a dispute, or create leverage involving someone in her broader circle. Investigators have acknowledged reviewing individuals within her social and professional network. As is standard, those closest to her were examined carefully. However, examination is not accusation. No one in her immediate circle has been charged. This theory attempts to reconcile two realities. The crime appears deliberate. This theory often gains traction because it explains professionalism and disappearance. But organized crime cases typically leave trails, financial, communicative, or relational. None have resulted in charges here. Again, possibility is not proof. What weakens every theory? Each explanation encounters the same obstacle. There is no public forensic link to named suspects, no confirmed DNA match, no identified phone purchaser charged, no credible witness who has stepped forward to identify the couple definitively. Nearly 2 decades have passed. Technology has advanced, databases have expanded, yet the identities of the man and woman remain unknown. The disappearance problem. Perhaps the most enduring mystery is not motive, it is disappearance. 2 adults attended a scheduled showing in a residential neighborhood. They were seen. They interacted with a licensed professional. They committed a homicide, and then they dissolved into anonymity. Did they leave the province? Did they leave the country? Were they ever residents at all? Without identification, motive remains theoretical. Without motive, prosecution cannot begin. The investigative silence police have periodically reaffirmed that the case remains open. They have stated that they believe someone knows something. They have urged witnesses to come forward, Yet major public updates have been limited. For families, that silence can feel like stagnation. For investigators, it may reflect caution, protecting information that could one day be critical. Both realities can exist simultaneously. By this point in the case's history, one truth had solidified. There is structure, there is planning, there is intention, but there is no resolution. Yet no public evidence directly implicates Lindsay in wrongdoing. It shifts motive outward, but outward to where? Theory 4. Organized crime connection. There has been public discussion regarding possible peripheral connections to drug trafficking networks operating in the region at the time. Police have stated that they considered all angles, including organized crime. However, no official statement has declared the case to be definitively linked to organized criminal organizations. In our final chapter, we examine the long-term impact, the annual memorials, the father's ongoing campaign, and what this case reveals about the limits of certainty in modern investigations. Because sometimes the most haunting element of a crime is not what happened. It is what never followed. Part 5. Aftermath, Time, and the Unanswered Silence. In the years following February 2, 2008, the house on D'Souza Place returned to quiet. The crime scene tape came down. The patrol cars disappeared. The neighborhood resumed its routine. But the absence left behind did not fade as easily. Lindsay Buziak was 24 years old. Her career had just begun. Her future, by all accounts, was forward-moving. The showing scheduled that evening was meant to be a step, another listing, another opportunity, another client. Instead, it became the final entry in a case file that remains open, the father's campaign. Almost immediately, Lindsay's father, Jeff Buziak, began advocating publicly for continued investigation. He organized annual memorial walks. He gave interviews. He questioned aspects of the inquiry he believed required deeper scrutiny. His position has been consistent. Someone planned this carefully, and someone knows more than they have said. Law enforcement, for their part, has maintained that the investigation has been extensive and remains active. They have stated that they continue to evaluate tips and preserve evidence. The tension between family advocacy and investigative discretion is not unusual in long-term cases, but it underscores something deeper. Time does not reduce the need for answers. It amplifies it. The weight of years. Nearly 2 decades have passed. In that time, forensic science has evolved. Communication records have become more traceable. Databases have expanded. Public awareness has spread far beyond British Columbia. And yet, the 2 individuals described in composite sketches remain unidentified. If they are alive, they are older now. If they were passing through, they may have crossed borders long ago. If they were local, they have blended into ordinary life. The case persists in a strange space, visible, discussed, but unresolved. What the case represents. The murder of Lindsay Buziak is often described as mysterious, but perhaps what makes it enduring is not mystery alone. It is structure without explanation. The prepaid phone suggests preparation. The vacant home suggests selection. The narrow timeline suggests confidence. And the disappearance suggests either planning or remarkable fortune. In many homicide investigations, motive eventually clarifies identity. Here, motive remains undefined. Without motive, the story resists closure, the silence. There are moments in unresolved cases where evidence stops speaking, where physical traces have been processed, where interviews have been conducted, where leads have thinned. At that point, cases often depend on something intangible, memory, conscience, a decision to come forward. Police have repeatedly stated that they believe someone knows what happened. Perhaps someone overheard something years ago. Perhaps someone recognized the sketches. Perhaps someone has remained silent out of fear, or loyalty, or doubt. In cold cases, the smallest withheld detail can hold disproportionate weight. An appointment that never concluded. On February 2, 2008, a home showing was scheduled for early evening. It lasted only minutes. 2 people entered, 2 people left. They have never been publicly identified. The property was sold. The neighborhood remains quiet. But the appointment itself never truly concluded. It remains suspended in reports, in interviews, in annual memorials, and in the unanswered questions carried forward by those who knew her. There are no dramatic endings here, no courtroom verdict, no final revelation, only a structured plan that succeeded in its immediate objective and failed, so far, to produce accountability. Nearly 20 years later, the questions remain measured and simple. Who arranged the call? Who walked into that house? And where did they go when they walked out? Until those answers are found, the file remains open, and the showing remains unfinished.
Some cases are never closed. Some questions remain unanswered, but every story deserves to be remembered. This has been Cold Case Archives.